Greetings and assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you all are doing great. Welcome to another video. So in last video, we have covered CloudWatch Agent on Windows Server. As you can see, we have its dashboard. I have already created in the last video. And as you can see, it provides the memory usage. And I have already told you that we will be using the heavy load as a software for stress utility testing purpose. Okay. So let's just close this one and close this server as we don't want to use it further. And right now I'm creating a Linux server. Okay, I will be using Amazon Linux for this demo, or you can use Ubuntu or any other distribution of Linux for configuring CloudWatch Agent. Okay, I will be focusing on the Linux one as I'm using the Amazon Linux as an AMI, and I have already given the name as Linux CloudWatch Agent server and then launch the instance. Okay, as you can see that the Linux CloudWatch Agent server is up and running. And let's connect to this server with the help of SSH client. And I will be using Mobex term for this demo. Okay, right now I'm inside the server again. And first thing, let me just do is update sudo yum update and sudo yum upgrade. And let's change its host name for demo purpose. Okay, so welcome back as Linux server is ready to use. And for configuring CloudWatch Agent on the Linux server, I will provide some files or commands in the video description. So for that, I am pasting command here. Paste it here. Okay. And let me just, as you can see, the CloudWatch agent.rpm file has been downloaded. Okay. So let's just clear the screen again. And if I type ls, you will see that the CloudWatch agent file has been downloaded on Linux server. And let's just type other command, which is sudo rpm -u and /amazon CloudWatch agent.rpm file. So basically, it will create a separate user and group for CW agent. Okay. One thing we need to make sure that this server should be configured with the IAM role. Okay, so right now I'm going actions, security, IAM role, and CW agent role. If you type here and update IAM role, so the IAM role is now attached to this server. Okay, without IAM role, as I have mentioned in the last video, it will not work and it will not provide any results to CloudWatch. Okay, so you make sure that whether you are working on Windows or Linux, it should be configured with IAM role so that EC2 and CloudWatch can start communicating to each other, and then they will provide you the outcomes or results as needed. Okay. Okay, so one more command we have to type here is, let me just type here AWS, Amazon, CloudWatch Agent, bin directory, Amazon CloudWatch Agent, config, wizard. Okay. Basically, this is the configuration file. If you remember in the last video where I went through to C programs directory where it contains the different configuration files of Amazon CloudWatch. So that's the same case in Linux. So as we know that we both Linux provides GUI as well as CLI, but most of the time we normally use Linux as a CLI point of view. Okay, so that's why we are typing the hierarchy name of folders, and then we are using the CLI commands right here. Okay, if I type enter, so if you see the similar image, or if you have some resemblance with the last video, it is asking you the same question as the last video one. Okay, so if you guys can let me know, you guys can see that it is asking some question. Okay, so I'm selecting Windows, Linux or Windows. As you can see, it is asking on which OS you are planning to use the agent. As we are inside the Linux server, obvious. So we will be selecting the first option, which is Linux. On EC2, yes. Okay. Which user you are planning to run the agent? Either CW agent, root, or other. So let's just go with the CW agent. Okay. Yes, I need to turn on the states the daemon. Same as the last video. Okay. But we have the OS differences in this one. Okay. States the daemon. In the meantime, let me just configure this one. I will show you the config.json file in Linux. Okay. Okay, this is the config.json file that it has generated. and let me just configure more points. Then I will show you the last configuration steps. Okay, it is asking for which default metrics. As in the last video, I have selected the standard option. In this video, I am also selecting the second option, which is standard. Okay. Okay, in Linux, it asks you for log file path. It's up to you. And let me just type var log CloudWatch Agent messages. You can use any custom log file path as per needed, and it will provide you the default log group name. I'm saying yes, and it is asking for log group messages. I'm going with the standard one, and instance ID. And in the last video, I have decided to go with the option number 6, which is 14 for log group retention in days. And let's just, okay, I don't want to specify any additional logs. Second option, no, no, your config.json file has been created. Okay, so how to check whether the configuration file has been generated or not? So for that, let me just clear the screen. Okay, if I type ls here, you will see the config.json file is now generated inside this directory. If I type pwd, so this is the directory where the config.json file has been generated and saved right here. Okay, so for that, let me just type the command here. And okay, so the command which I'm pasting right now is this one. The command is sudo and the config file -a fetch config -m EC2 and the file name, which is config.json. Okay, so if I type enter, okay, so it is showing you some error. Okay, I guess we need to install one more utility, which is collect d. Okay, so the command is sudo yum install -y collect d. So it is the custom metric software. And let's just rerun the command again, and let's see. Now, as you can see that the most of the configuration file is now succeeded, and the CloudWatch agent is now running. Okay, so how to check whether the CloudWatch agent is running or not? So the command is sudo systemctl status Amazon CloudWatch agent. As you can see that the CloudWatch agent is now running and it is perfectly working fine. And let's just go back to AWS console and see whether it's running or not. Okay. Okay, so right now I'm inside the CloudWatch console and go to all metrics. And in the meantime, let me just copy this instance ID and go to CW agent namespace, instance ID, and let me just paste it here. As you can see that we have some of the metrics as it is showing. Okay, so for that, let me just type select these two options. Okay, so for that, let me just select these two options, and you can create a separate dashboard as well. Okay, it means that the CloudWatch agent for this server is perfectly fine. So let's go back to dashboard. As you can see, it is already created, and let me just delete this one and create a new dashboard for Linux server. Okay, Linux CW agent dashboard. Click on create dashboard, and it is asking for line number and stack area. So let's just go with the pi. Let's just go with the gauge option. Okay, CW agent instance ID, and paste the instance ID here, and you can memory use percentage, and this one create widget. Okay, okay, so for gauge purpose we have to specify. Okay, so right now I'm inside the dashboard, and let's just add the metric. I'm selecting number. Next, go to CW agent. Go to CW agent, then instance ID, then paste your instance ID and select memory use percentage and then create widget. Okay. So the widget has been now created, and if you click on save, your dashboard is now saved, but it is showing an empty results right now. Okay. So Linux also provides its own stress utility as a utility. So for that, let me just go back to server and go to cd home EC2 user, clear the screen, and right now I'm typing the command to install stress utility. Okay. Okay, so the command is sudo yum install -y stress, and it is installing right now. And once it is installed, okay, so the stress utility has been installed, and I'm pasting command, and this command represents the how much stress should I give. CPU 1 core, VM bytes 512 memory, and timeout would be 2 minutes. Okay, if I type enter, so the stress utility testing is now started, and let's just wait for the CloudWatch agent whether it's getting results or not. Okay. Okay, so right now I am inside the AWS console in CloudWatch dashboard, and if I maximize the window, so the stress utility is showing the 16.3, and let's just wait for 1 minute, and it will show you the rest of the results after completing it. Okay. Okay, as you can see that it has jumped from 16 to 57.3 percentage. It means that the stress utility testing is now running and it is showing you the results. Now it is successfully completed in 120 seconds, and let's just retry with 3 minutes or 180 seconds. Okay, and I'm giving it as 1 GB. Okay, and okay. Now it is working, and let's just wait for final results. Okay, as you can see, if I refresh here, okay, 14%, and let's just wait more. As you can see, it is showing the 30.5 results, and if I enlarge this window, and if I change the type or seconds, you will see there is some variation in results. Okay, so this is how you can configure CloudWatch agent on specific or multiple servers for memory usage and other metrics monitoring purpose. Okay, so this is the entire video, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one, and take care of yourself and your loved ones. Allah Hafiz.